Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Biophilic City, our region. We will talk about this a little bit today, but what we have for sure is an exhibition on this topic. And we have also a little panel discussion or several presentations that explain a little bit how it happened that we ended up here today. Um, my name is Mona Al Khafif. For everyone who is not familiar with me, I'm a professor here at UVA at the School of Architecture in the Department of Architecture, and I have also an alliance with the Urban Environmental Planning. And I'm also a committee member at the Natural Heritage Committee in Albemarle County. So I'm wearing multiple hats, and I love nature, I think, though I'm an urban designer, actually. So there's something in me that, tries to promote that. But today I just want to first start with welcoming everyone here. Thank you for joining us, as well as introducing our guest speakers. So we have, once I'm done, Tim Beatley, who is the director of the Biophilic Cities Network, is going to speak a little bit about what biophilic cities are. We also have Crystal Ritterwold, who is the Director of Sustainability at the City of Charlottesville. She will talk about some very exciting stuff, and then we have some announcements. And we have Christine Putnam, who is with us. She's actually in Maine, but she's with us via Zoom. Christine and I are basically the subcommittee on the Natural Heritage Committee who are trying to push the county to move forward with specific steps. So she will talk a little bit about why the Natural Heritage Committee is so concerned about biophilic assets. And we have Tim Padalino, who is, there are a lot of titles here. You're also director of Park and Recreation, but you're today here as a former UVA regional planner or environmental planner, as well as a collaboration partner with a lot of our classes that we have here at the A School. At the end, I have a little bit of a couple of slides that talk about the exhibition itself, just to explain the diversity of work that we actually brought together, and I'm very excited about it. What you see in the exhibition is not only what we produced in our class last semester, but it is an aggregation of exciting work crossing multiple scales from multiple departments who are all dedicating their work towards the biophilic cities or very sustainable futures. So I'm very excited with this. I'm handing it, I think, nearly over to Tim. Maybe as one sentence, how all of this happened today when we had 2024, a meeting at the Natural Heritage Committee. My colleagues asked me, they asked the question, why is Charlottesville actually not a part of the Biophilic Cities Network? And well, I couldn't answer this. I mean, but I said, well, I'm sure Tim can talk a little bit about that, considering that UVA is the birthplace of the concept of biophilic cities. We invited Tim. He immediately said, sure, I'm happy to come. He organized the event actually here at the school. And it was joined by citizens, students, and our committee members. And after the presentation, some of us really decided to move mountains, little mountains, but we wanted to move forward with, the potential that the city or the county could join the network. And with that, I'm heading it first over to Tim, who's going to talk a little bit about the network.
Yes, a very little bit about it. That first presentation, I think, was 70 or 80 slides probably. Today, I think I've been encouraged to keep it. We have just a handful of slides. So this started for us here at UVA in 2012 or so. We had a couple of iterations of grant funding from a Washington, D.C. foundation called the Summit Foundation. At the end of that, involved actually looking around the world and trying to understand what cities were doing, what sort of innovations and creative work they were doing to bring nature into the center of those places. And at the end of that 2-year project, we decided to have a big meeting here in Charlottesville. And we had representatives from these 10 cities come for 4 days of meeting. And at the end of that 4 days, we just almost spontaneously decided that we wanted to keep meeting. This was a wonderful sort of group, and the work was really important, and that we wanted to create a network. And so we actually developed this very hastily pledge, and it was a sort of a publisher's clearinghouse sized pledge that we penned up on the First Amendment monument on the downtown mall. And then everybody from different cities actually signed it in very dramatic fashion. So there's Lena Chan, who was our representative from Singapore, one of our original 10 cities, and that set the thing in motion. And that was 2013, so it's actually been more than a decade. Yeah, and those first 10 cities, a couple of them eventually sort of dropped out of the network, but that was the core group, and we're now over 30 cities that have officially joined as partner cities. It is really remarkable. I'm not going to talk a lot about what constitutes a biophilic city. It's a natureful city. It's a biodiverse city. It's a city where we want to be immersed in nature. We don't just want to have little bits of nature. We want to see the city as an ecosystem, which of course it is. But cities are doing all kinds of different sorts of things. Love for you to go and look at biophilic.org and take a look. Each city, as they join as partner cities, gets to have a curated page that talks about all the things they're doing, and contact information, resources, and so it's a good resource. Lots of different ideas about how to incorporate nature, and lots of wonderful things that the cities are doing together. So this is one example. San Francisco and Singapore, two of our partner cities, have joined together to work on things. A number of cities have. It's actually an image of a delegation from Singapore coming to San Francisco to learn about San Francisco's bird safe design standards, the first American city to have adopted mandatory bird safe design provisions. Really, really wonderful. A lot of what we do is capturing stories and telling stories and sharing stories, and this network, wonderful network of cities, inspiring each other. We do that in lots of different ways. We have an online journal called Biophilic Cities. J.D. Brown is here in the audience, who has been our program director, and actually a lot to do with editing this journal. We have a new issue coming out shortly. So wonderful resources there. We make films about what the cities are doing. This is actually a new film about a wonderful project called Kampong Admiralty, 600 trees on a tiered rooftop. You look down on this building and you would think it was a rainforest. And Munsum Wong, part of the wonderful firm Woha. So it's an interview with him on the roof of this fantastic building, but lots of other new films as well. So I just had a couple of slides at the end to sort of just make the point. And for me, this really is just a tiny, this is on, I usually have lots of slides, but Busan in South Korea has been our newest partner city. And I spent about 2 weeks last spring there. And it reminded me just of the power of our network. And part of this is that we discover new things. There are a million ideas out there about how to incorporate nature, how to protect nature, how to regenerate it in creative ways. Busan, second largest city in South Korea. One of the things they are doing is attempting to bring the cool air from this amazing protected mountainside preserve system that they have into the center of the city. And they're really innovating this idea of urban wind path forests. Already that is an idea that's picking up some traction in our network. And every city in our network, every city anywhere has stories to tell. And I just wanted to brag at the last slide a little bit about the power of our ideas and our vision. Thinking back on 2013, we make these films, we bring cities together, we connect cities, we capture these stories, we write books and articles, and this idea of biophilic urbanism or biophilic cities, this notion that nature is not something optional. It's absolutely essential to leading a happy, healthy, meaningful life, and it can't just be something that we enjoy occasionally on a summer vacation. It has to be all around us. We have to protect it, grow it, see that city as a natureful, immersed in nature kind of context. And so we're finding, JD, you and the team have been trying to capture all the citations and all the places around the world, from Turkey to Brazil to Malaysia, all over the place. These ideas that we've started here are finding their way. And so it's a little micro example of this in Busan and several other cities, including Seoul. We discovered that at every place that we went, there were hundreds of books. We have the translated version of this biophilic handbook out on the display area to look at, and each city would actually buy the copies of the book and give them away. And we had people standing in line to talk about this book. Not every place in the world is like South Korea, but it is amazing, actually, the speed and the pace at which these ideas are being sort of picked up. So we're really happy that I got that question a lot myself, right? And I didn't always have a good answer. Why wasn't Charlottesville in the network? This is my transition over to you, Crystal. Well, okay,
Yeah.
so that's it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
so the oops, that's very low res. So after this amazing lecture that was really 150 slides that Tim gave, everyone was fired up. And you know, there's Toronto, San Francisco, Singapore, all of these big cities who committed to this topic. And then for sure we are circling around again. Okay, we are in Charlottesville, but Charlottesville is the birthplace of all of that. And there comes an incredible power outside of who we are here. And we also very quickly figured out, oh my God, there's Charlottesville, and then there's Albemarle County, and then there's a Rivanna River watershed, and that talking about administrative boundaries in this context isn't very healthy. So we had this fantastic idea of actually starting to talk about the biophilic region and to create maybe a new paradigm in this context. So Tim, since then, as well as Tim and many others, became companions and partners in the seminar that we organized or that I taught last fall. In my strategies class, we actually tasked our students to look at our region, not only the city, but also the county, and to look at an asset analysis. We organized 7 categories that are all in the exhibition. We had workshops. We had a lecture by Colin Curley from Field Operations, who talked about biophilic assets at the waterfront in Seattle, as well as in New York. So big firms working on this material. We produced a lot of material that it didn't even find its way into the exhibition because we concentrated on the asset analysis in this show. But just to give you an idea, students got really, really invested. This is a wildlife analysis. Also tracking down where we are not so much taking care of our wildlife. So it was a big data analysis, actually. At the final review last fall, we then, very tired, came to the conclusion we have to move forward with that. And in this context, I applied for a Jefferson Trust grant that I now really want to thank for their support to work on this exhibition. And this exhibition became so much larger. I will talk about this at the end. We have colleagues here sitting in the audience whose work is featured here because their work also addresses sustainability and biophilic assets. But with that, I really want to hand it over now to Crystal, who will talk about several stories that then happen parallel at the city level.
Thank you. It's really nice to be here at UVA. I am a double who graduating in the years X and X with an undergrad and a master's degree in environmental science. I worked in the private sector for a number of years. Actually, my focus was ecology. I spent a lot of time around hemlock trees. I grew up as a kid camping. I don't know how to operate without nature nearby. Went to work for the city thinking that the work would be done in just a couple years. That was 2002. I'm still here. I've known Tim since the biophilic cities concept. I think when you had the convening, of the 10 different country representatives.
I think you gave some tours.
We gave some tours of the Meadow Creek Stream Restoration Project, which was the biggest urban stream restoration project that the Nature Conservancy had been involved with, which was a really exciting story. That was done in 2014. We had a presentation to the Tree Commission during COVID together. You did a 70-slide presentation, and then I had a little bit of time left for our green print presentation. But really, this question of why hasn't the city joined? You know, I kept going back to the website, and there was this criteria that you needed to have a population of a certain size. And Charlottesville was like 47,000 people. And Singapore and, you know, some of these other big community or participants were just like at a different scale. And so that was one reason we didn't join. And then I would say, for those of you who are familiar with what's happened in Charlottesville, we had kind of a messy number of years with a lot of leadership change, and biophilia was not the topic that people were convening around. So we decided to stop pushing that, and in fact, just to like do the work. And what I would submit is we've been acting like a biophilic city. We have community partners, nonprofits, individuals, volunteer organizations. This work does not get done by a local government. So I would submit that Charlottesville and the region is sort of biophilic, whether it knew that word or not. So if you look at our current comprehensive plan, which is essentially the adopted policy of the elected body, it has in there a priority area that just like says it pretty simply: keep it green, make it greener, and protect the natural environment and the benefits it provides. It didn't include to whom, but I would submit residents, businesses, visitors, and all the creatures, great and small, that live in the city. And then this is the vision statement in the environmental chapter itself. So you see being a leader, clean, healthy air and water, open spaces, natural areas, tree canopy, an acknowledgement of the value of the water systems, and an environmentally sound community access. So I think, again, this didn't say biophilia, but it equals that definition in a lot of ways that you saw on the previous slide. And we have, I believe, really genuine commitments to related topics that are aligned with biophilic principles, and whether that's the comprehensive plan, the city's strategic plan, the climate action plan, the parks master plan, and I'm sure I'm forgetting half a dozen, but the bike ped plan. So there's really a lot of ways in which the city values nature. I thought what might be useful is just like a quick summary of a few things. I'm really thrilled to have our urban forester in the room here, Steve Gaines. He's taken this topic of urban forest management to yet another level. And what we're talking about is recognizing that as an urban area, we have an urban canopy. We know there is a number associated with that, but we are not going to sit back and be pleased to say that that number means that we have the right urban forest, right? We need to have the right trees in the right places, ready for the right climate-driven change that's coming. We recognize that we have an urban forest that's being stressed by emerald ash borer. We now have spotted lanternfly. We have an urban system and a natural system that is being stressed, and we need to be prepared for the strategies for that. And we also know that we cannot maintain or increase that urban canopy if we're only limited to planting trees on public land. Like, the greatest opportunity for planting trees is on private property. And we know we don't have equitable and fair and valuable tree canopy in all the neighborhoods. We recognize that there are low canopy neighborhoods where people are dealing with heat island and the consequences in an unfair way. And so addressing that head on is part of what we're committed to doing. Like I said, an appreciation for native species and diversity. That looks like planting pollinator gardens, and that looks like encouraging right tree selection for the tree planting guide. And as of, was it last week? The city was just recognized as a Bee City USA. So that also is, like, again, underscoring the commitment to pollinators and joining UVA as a B campus USA. Like I said, there's a role for nature and nature-based solutions in dealing with climate and climate change, whether that looks like stream restoration or stream buffers or nature-based solutions to deal with stormwater management. And these are all things that we have several and many of them in our community, but we need more for this community to be resilient, which is the other area that we're focusing on is climate resilience. We know that there are climate-driven risks, increased and intense heat, increased and intense rainfall, and seasonal changes. These are things that nature-based solutions are going to help us deal with so that we have a safe and healthy and strong community that's prepared for those changes and not blindsided. A couple of metrics, 23,000 acres of parks and other green types of places, a growing bike and ped network. The city's also involved in the three-chop trail that's going to connect, three-notched trail that's going to connect Charlottesville eventually out to the tunnel in Afton. So that's, again, this is a regional view. The city and the county have worked on regional approaches to things like the Rivanna River Corridor Plan, recognizing that there are existing features that need to be preserved and human beings that need to be connected with those features. Community gardens, they look like gardens at schools. They look like gardens run by the International Rescue Committee, the New Roots Program, community gardens in the parks. I love a front yard with a tomato plant on it. I'm just going to say that doesn't fit everybody's taste, but I love veggies in the front yard. And then just a really sincere appreciation for the numerous people in the city who volunteer and who are committed to helping connect the youth to nature and who are stewarding our resources. So we've been doing a bunch of community engagement stuff. And just recently, I'm going to end this with these happy humans that when you give them a piece of cardboard and ask them what makes them feel biophilic after you explain the definition, there's just so much joy out there. And so again, whether you don't really get to choose to be biophilic, but you explain it, people just smile and they think of a time when they're just happy. And usually they're happy because there's something natureful around them. I'm happy to answer questions later.
So we actually have an answer to this question about Charlottesville, which is that they are now officially in the network. I'm here to deliver to you. Okay.
You want to do it not with the tree
Not
all
with the
over
tree,
you?
yeah, that's probably.
Maybe that's appropriate.
It is
Maybe it
appropriate.
is, I don't know, okay. So this will mark this day.
Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
and I'm not sure where you want to put this, in your office? or-
I will bring it to
Manager's
council to
office or
show it
council?
to them.
Yeah, that's great.
They
Absolutely.
can decide where they want it, but thank you. It's been a long time.
Oh, it has been. Well deserved.
So yeah, thanks for the introduction earlier, Mona. I'm Tim Padalino. I'm here because of my involvement in the Urban Strategies Studio through my work as Albemarle County's Chief of Parks Planning. Does this really work?
Does it sound like it does?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Try this one. Any better?
That's better.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Sorry about that. Yeah, but my role with Albemarle County is public service through the Parks and Recreation Department. I'm the Chief of Parks Planning, not the Director, for anybody who might be listening carefully. And it's a great opportunity and a privilege to serve our local and regional community and our visitors by trying to create better opportunities for access to open spaces, recreational experiences and amenities, and just contact with nature. I think there was a comment earlier about biophilia exists and has always existed outside of its definition. It's just this because it is an innate quality. And I love that it's a connection between people and the natural world. And I think about my academic background in landscape architecture, and one of the sort of animating principles for me was genius loci, or the spirit of place or sense of place, which is actually intrinsic and not about human connection, but just about the place. So I love the idea of merging those two together, thinking about planning, thinking about design, thinking about construction even. So I kind of have those in the back of my mind as core values or animating principles. through part of my work with the county, I've had the opportunity to be a repetitive collaboration partner, as Mona correctly put it. I've had the opportunity to work with faculty and students in the architecture and landscape architecture and planning departments. It's a great way that I get to give back as a local alum, but I also grow and I learn every month, every semester coming back to the A School. So I do appreciate that. And it's, again, my privilege and honor to do so. At the Parks and Recreation Department in Albemarle County, we're working on a number of things that could be considered biophilic. We also don't talk about it in those terms, but it certainly is our sort of core principle. We've got increasing emphasis on trying to create better infrastructure and access to the Rivanna River corridor. A lot of people don't know this, but just downstream from the city and from Pantops, it's a water gap through the Southwest Mountains. And so there are no roads, there's no development. And I've had the privilege of seeing, you know, ospreys and eagles and otters and beavers and any number of things out there every time we go. It's a wildlife haven, and yet the public really can't get there at all. So we're working to change that. It's a multi-year effort. We've got a lot of stakeholder partners, but moving forward. Another example that I'll point out is Biscuit Run Park. It's the newest county park. It's also Albemarle's largest county park. It's 1,190 acres. There's about half of that open to public access right now. And we're doing things like stream restoration, over a mile of re-engineering a stream valley and connecting the water to the floodplain. We are working on trail networks to provide opportunities for passive recreation, but also more exhilarating active activities. And then we're also doing a lot of invasive species management, including the planning side and then the control side. And as we make progress on that, we'll go into like restoration activities in the places that have been managed. Got another ongoing collaboration with Associate Dean John Kamatsi through his work with the Design Build Studio. We are going to be installing multiple custom recreational structures in Biscuit Run Park starting early next year. It's actually a threefold partnership with CAMBIC, the Charlottesville Area Mountain Bike Club. So they're building downhill mountain bike trails and skills parks, and UVA is coming in with these sort of accessory structures to provide congregation spaces or provide gateway threshold spaces to separate the multi-use trails from the bike-only Biscuits and Gravity downhill bike park. I also just want to thank the School of Architecture because no one bribed or coerced me into saying this, but this program is absolutely phenomenal. I can't wait for Dr. Jeremy Hoffman to come and talk about forest urbanism in conjunction with the university's lab. We've got Thomas Volz coming later in the semester. And I'm still excited about the Walter Hood lecture in the spring from the Thomas Jefferson Medal. It was incredible. And I know the Biophilic Cities program started in, I think, 2013, you said. I believe E.O. Wilson was a Jefferson Medal winner in 2010, give or take a year. And he came and spoke, and I know he's written extensively about biophilia. So it's just great to look back and see all these through lines. But yeah, I'm just really excited to be here. I was pleased to be an advisor and critic during the studio and the reviews last semester for urban strategies. And yeah, look forward to more collaboration, I hope, in the future.
Thank you. And thank you for, I'm trying to struggle here in the background. Nature is wild, no predictions. Christine was here for a second.
Oh, I'm here.
Here, can you turn on your camera?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, good. So your slide is on the, yeah, you're in nature. Oh, that's the reason why, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Christine, your slide is on the wall. I don't know if you can see that. Christine is the vice chair of the Natural Heritage Committee at the moment, but she was for many, many, many years the chair and works very hard. So I'm also very appreciative of her guidance. So Christine, you have your slide here if you want to comment a little bit.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm first of all just really excited to be. I'm sorry I'm not here there in person, but excited to be part of the opening of this amazing expedition, and really want to congratulate the city of Charlottesville that they've now joined the network. But I'm just going to give a little bit of background perhaps about the Natural Heritage Committee. As Mona mentioned earlier, both of us are members of the Albemarle County Natural Heritage Committee, and this is an advisory committee charged to provide feedback to the Board of Supervisors on the protection of biodiversity and natural resources. So this advisory group was the outcome of a group of dedicated botanists and ecologists in the early 2000s who recognized the need to identify and protect endangered ecosystems in our county. I mean, they were out looking at rare plants and cataloging them. And then, as a result of their work, in 2018, the Biodiversity Action Plan was completed. This was one of the first local planning documents of its kind in the United States. So, when the Natural Heritage Committee became aware of the Biophilic Network, we wanted to learn more. And as Mona said, we invited Tim Beatley to present to one of our meetings. So, Albemarle County lies in the heart of the globally significant and the richly biodiverse eastern deciduous forest. The county borders the Shenandoah National Park, and it contains major river corridors and large forest blocks. Albemarle County has much to protect, and it was clear to the NHC that membership in the Biophilic Cities Network could provide another tool for both rural and urban planning and for raising awareness about the benefits of protecting and enhancing biodiversity and providing better access to nature for all of our citizens. So last year, Mona engaged her students to explore how the biophilic and cultural assets of the Charlottesville-Albemarle region could be developed and re-envisioned as a centerpiece, an example of one of the first biophilic regions in the world. NHC members were involved in the selection of the 7 asset areas and participated in the workshops, providing feedback to the students. I had the pleasure of attending the final review and was immensely impressed by the vision and promise of these ideas developed by the students. I have to also add that I am a former middle school science teacher, so I was especially excited to be able to see all this great work. So the other reviewers agreed that these ideas needed to be more broadly viewed by our leaders and innovators and the general public. So I am deeply grateful for Mona's leadership, her students, and for the support provided by the Jefferson Trust for this amazing showcase of ideas for growing biophilic ways of designing our world. I am now reading a book called Nature and the Mind by Mark Berman. It is a scientific look at what we all intuitively know. Nature is medicine. We as human beings need it for our physical, mental, and emotional health today more than ever. We need to build a world where everyone has access to nature. To know the natural world is the first step in protecting it. So we hope that Albemarle County will soon join the Biophilic Network, City Network, and be able to partner with the City of Charlottesville and UVA and all those other amazing places around the world to realize this vision of a biophilic region. And so thank you all for giving me a chance to talk, and congratulations.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you. Thank you. Super kind words. I want to very quickly talk about the exhibition because, as I mentioned, yes, the asset analysis is a part of it, but the exhibition is so much larger, and I want to really say my thank you to all the colleagues and the students who participated in the show. There are little handouts outside that contain a little folder that help to understand a little bit what is presented in this rather small space, but there are so many media screens and so many books, and there's so much material. So please take your time to have a look at this material. I for sure want to thank everyone, but there are 3 people in the room or virtually connected who, without them, this show would not be here today. I have Catherine Shee, Julia McNally, and Joyce Fong, who worked with me over the whole summer to edit the material and to put this together. Really a big, 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 big thank you. So I will thank you again, but I just want to also talk a little bit about the other contributions, which are exciting. They are extremely exciting because they are about design, they are about crossing disciplines, they are about crossing scales, which I, as a designer, believe is really important. You have this little tiny room here. They are in the fold out, so I literally can't read through this at the moment, but I have a couple of pictures. So in the fold out, you will find everyone's contribution. There are also going to be 3 virtual events. These are lectures where some of the contributions that had been not possible to bring here, like James Barnes' tactical biophilic tactics, is just a result of his PhD thesis that he conducted here. He couldn't bring the installation because it's very much needed in North Carolina, where he is now an assistant professor, but he will join us virtually in a biophilic tactics lecture. We have also a small symposium or a dialogue on biophilic building blocks on October 15th, which is a part of my current urban strategies class. And we have biophilic material research, which I find is it's going to be excellent, because that is all about, we always think about green roofs and trees and that this is a part of biophilic design. But when we think about materiality and how material composts and how it can be recycled, can become a part of the architectural design, I think we enter a completely different world. So I'm very excited that Kyle Schumann, Katie McDonald, and Ehsan Baharlu are going to present during this lunch talk, and their work is also in the exhibition. So I know the exhibition is outside, and there's a fantastic buffet catered by Fromage and Forager, food to table from our region, right from the farms that produce the food. So I will release you in a second, but I just want to get you excited. But I also just want to quickly hint at the different contributions. So we have on one wall, Lara Gastinger's amazing inventory of 12, I find, most beautiful drawings about, these are botanical drawings that was, she got the 2018 gold medal Royal Horticultural from the Horticultural Society. It's well awarded work that she contributed to the exhibition. You can also buy them online on her website. We have on the 3 terminals the Biophilic Cities Network. Tim and JD contributed the slides, so 200 slides. No, it's actually not as much. On one other terminal, there are the videos from several cities that you can just listen to. So you can spend an hour or 2 just on one of these terminals. And on another terminal, we have work from Beth Wilson, Jenny Rowe, Barbara Brown-Wilson, as well as Karen Firehawk, who all did work on the topic of how to address and research, for example, heat island effects in the Meadow Creek watershed and other topics. So please have a look at this material. And I don't know if Tim actually talked about it. This wonderful glass bowl was a present from the bubble, was a present from commissioned
2013
by
San Francisco. Design firm out there that
who
made it, and you're gonna put me on the spot.
No, that's not what I'm asking. Which dean? You got this from a dean?
No, we commissioned it from a company, and
I thought it was a dean's present. Huh? What you see?
No, maybe that's true. The
money came from somewhere.
Dean's office. Getting some essential facts about it.
Yeah, so there's a long story about this little micro universe where plants are growing, and these plants are currently cared for by our PhD students. So there's something really beautiful about how everything comes around in a circle. And this is Kyle's and Katie's work. They also work with students, so you will find the full credit line on these little labels. But it's you can't sit on the table, but on the chair, but there's something going on that's actually very interesting. So either listen to the lecture or they are both here in the audience. But all of their work that they are presenting here was originally produced for other shows and other symposia. So it's, but we are very thankful that they brought us the work into this exhibition. And then, I mean, Ehsan's living column is just, I mean, you all need to talk to him and understand what's happening in this little microcosm where a fungi is growing as a living creature that creates a symbiosis with material. It is just every day this will look different. And fungi are extremely important in the context of our environment. When a tree falls down and the fungi takes over, a whole universe unfolds, and it will be the habitat for many, many creatures. We also have a slideshow where many pictures are running up here in the circle, in the pixel. This is where John Komatsy's studio work is featured. Their work is actually also on the North Terrace as full mock-ups. We couldn't move them into the exhibition. There's also not enough space. They will be brought to Biscuit Run shortly, I think, as soon as the permit process is completed. So the work of John and Komatsy and his students is there, as well as the work of LAR 6010 Foundation Studio from the Landscape Architecture Program. Lena Shaw and Matthew Zybert provided amazing material. I mean, they didn't have really time to put it into the slideshow, so I said, I'm going to do that. And these were my happiest 4 hours, because looking at this amazing, not only analysis, but also the design work that the students are producing, in their first year, to learn to understand the site, but also to understand what it means to design for non-humans. So if you have, please look at these slides. It's just very, very beautiful. And then there is, we have a slideshow, which is all about our region. Woody Wingfield, who is on our development team, he has a drone and likes to fly around, and these pictures are just very amazing. I mean, you're falling in love with the region when you see this material. They are great postcards. They are takeaway postcards. They are meant to be sent out to other cities. And this was the last slide. The list of credits is very long. At this moment, I really want to thank all the students, all our colleagues who contributed to the work. It's a very big shout out to our communication and exhibition team, Ashley Dufalo, Sneha Patel, Kyle Sturgeon, who I have to say, he set up in the last 10 days 3 exhibitions that all popped up simultaneously. So this is really, and he was never in a bad mood, always there. Amazing, amazing. Thank you for all of your hard work, as well as Fab Lab, Melissa and Trevor, and for sure the Jefferson Trust Foundation, because without them, we would not have the exhibition today. With this, I want to close it and